Okay, so my Keitech experiment continues. Today I'm heading to the Sound where the water is a little bit clearer than where I normally fluke this early in the season. And because Keitech is not gulp, gulp is water-based, it leaves a massive scent trail in the water. I think we need more visibility to make this sort of an even test. Okay, so I'm using the 5-inch Keitech Easy Shiner. I've stocked up. I don't want to tell you how much Keitech I have in the apartment. It's absolutely insane. And this is the first fish of what turns out to be the strangest multi-species slam I've ever experienced. The rod I'm using is the 7'2" medium heavy X-Bride, and that's paired to a Corrado K 7-1. So after that robin, I was marking a lot of what turns out to be schoolie stripers, and they don't want it jigged. These small bass, they just want it retrieved with a few rod tip twitches in between. Alright, so here I'm just testing out a new bait I got over the winter.
For fun. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's the Super Shadow Wrap, and I'll leave a link to Tackle Advisor's review. But it's got nice action. I don't catch anything on it, but
Oh boy.
I have it rigged up with owner single hooks, and it's like the world's largest jerkbait. So one thing I discovered is this Megabass Hyuga 7'2" heavy, which was rated at 4 ounces, not even close. I would say this rod tops out casting weight 2.5 ounces, and it's a powerful rod, but you are not chucking like that. Shadow Wrap weighs I think 3.5 ounces, and there's no way. Put that thing away before I break the rod. So here I'm back, fluke jigging, and I'm using sort of a hybrid jigging method. This is what I do when I think there might be stripers around. Instead of the short little hops, I'm pulling the bait 4 to 6 feet off the bottom and just letting it free fall. Now when the bait falls, control slack is what you want. You want to follow it down with a little bow in your line. If your line is too tight, the jig is not going to fall naturally, and if you have too much slack on the drop, you're not going to catch up for the hook set. And while you're dropping your rod tip, you're kind of taking up slack on your reel handle. So you always want to be half a turn of the reel handle away from coming tight to a fish.
What is that?
And we'll talk more about this on the next fluke, but notice how I'm kind of guiding the fluke around. And here it breaks surface, which can be very dangerous, but fluke are very tricky fish at the surface.
Corey. You might want to come back here.
and that is the Smalley Magic color. I have all the colors, obviously, but they all have a squid scent added to them. So even though they're not water-based, they're not going to draw fish from as far away as gulp. Once they do bite it, they tend to hang on, like that fish really choked it. So here I thought I'd give you just a little glimpse into my OCD fishing syndrome. So this is an edited version. It literally takes me quite a few minutes to thread on a new bait, and I just want to make sure it's perfectly straight and the hook is exiting exactly where it should be. And there. That is I think, shad color. It's got some purple flake, silver flake. All these colors they just look great. And here I'm using the bait hitch. So I'm putting it through inside the eye of the jig instead of outside. And there a little adjustment. Okay, that's about as perfect as I can make it. And check out these things in the water. I mean, it's got the tail kick, obviously, but the head kind of rolls. Like the tail kind of brings the head along, and there's like a little roll to the head as well. And that happens at any speed, from a slow crawl to burning it. And here is where I kind of enter the twilight zone that day. I was getting little taps that I assume were porgy. It's a little early for porgies in this area, but that would make more sense than what I ended up catching on this Keitech swim bait. And what follows is about as much excitement as you'll hear in my voice on camera.
No way. No way. What? What? What is going on?
So I don't take many photos when I'm on the kayak, but this is photo worthy. Now I've heard of TOG hitting diamond jigs and such, but I never really knew that was true. I mean, I've tried using gulp for them, and they just would not hook themselves. And yes, TOG season is open in New York, but even if that fish was a keeper, there's no way I'm keeping them in the spring. This is their spawning season. I think it was a poor decision on New York State's part to open up the spring season. Anyway, fishing slowed way down, and here are these guys. They beached their boat on this rock, and they're cleaning a mess of porgies. And I don't know what's going on there. They're like the porgy cartel. And yeah, fishing just slowed to a crawl. I don't think I had any robins, fluke, nothing for the next 2 hours. Alright, so let's talk about the ideal fluke landing scenario. Since we have some clear water, you don't want the fluke to break surface until it's in your net. That's the goal. You also don't want the fish to stall out and put big slack in your line while they're head shaking. So you basically lead them around 2, 3, 4 foot underneath the surface and just keep that forward momentum going. Now, you want a pretty loose drag near the surface. In case of big fluke, a lot of times they'll glide up towards you and then they won't make their first run until they're close to the surface or when they see the boat. So you gotta be ready for that run, that dive down to the bottom. And in terms of netting, always head first, obviously. Never chase with the net. You always want to lead the fish head first into your net that's waiting. But yeah, the bigger the fluke, the trickier they are. They can swim backwards. Their head shakes are constant. They do that while lunging forward or swimming backwards. So the proper netting mechanics is pretty important if you want to land your fluke of a lifetime. So definitely practice on the smaller ones. And alright, this is the last fish you're gonna see. And my mind was already blown by that blackfish I caught on the Keitech. And here's another, just a really odd species to catch on the Keitech. And here I thought it was a short fluke.
Oh, you gotta be joking. You have got to be.
That is a winter flounder, and I definitely checked out the bait. And yes, the camera came out again. I had to show my cousin what I just caught.
You went for it, didn't you? Dude. $15 inches. Crazy shit. Guess we are gonna have a catch and cook.
Okay, I think I ended the trip after that fish. We're not going to top that. So yeah, that concludes our multi-species day on the Keitech. I hope you enjoy. There will be a catch and cook episode coming up. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.